What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I figured I just put out my Timothy Bradley versus Provodnikov prediction, so I decided to do my Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado Part 2 prediction. That fight's coming up, I believe, March 30th on HBO. Trying to get that prediction out so I don't forget. Now, what can I say? Last year was an exciting year for boxing, and the first fight between Mike Alvarado, Mile High, and Bam Bam Brandon Rios was definitely one of the reasons why. I feel this fight was relentless action. It definitely had some of the rounds of the year. It could arguably be the fight of the year. Some people thought the Pacquiao versus Marquez 4 surpassed it. Um, they're all of those fights were just highly exciting. They can all be mentioned in the same breath as Diego Corrales versus Castillo, Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward, and some of the other classics that we've seen. Um, Instant classic. I mean, I just loved that fight from the beginning, from when I watched it. I recently watched it again, kind of dissected it and tried to get in gear for the rematch to make my prediction video. So I watched the first one again. Um, Big thing I noticed is Mike Alvarado. He had more success when he was sticking to boxing. Um, it was clear from an early stage that anytime it was the close inside phone book, rugged type of fight, he had some success in spots, but his success was definitely overshadowed by Brandon Rios' success. Um, Ultimately, you got two fighters that are machismo. They have heart. They're warriors, and they have pride. So it's the perfect recipe, the perfect formula for an exciting fight because neither man is willing to back down. With that being said, sometimes you have to back down and live to fight another day, and that's for both fighters. Um, as far as this rematch, I think initially when I did my first prediction video, I'll try to post a link in the video responses. I said I had Mike Alvarado winning, and he definitely could have won, but Brandon Rios just he looked good at the weight. He looked like comfortable at the weight. He looked strong at the weight. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I thought Mike Alvarado would have the edge because he was the bigger person. And who knows how Brandon Rios would look at a new weight. And I know the level of skill Mike Alvarado has in terms of being more technically sound than Brandon Rios. But Brandon Rios proves he has an insane beard. Um, he was taking some monster shots, some licks, and he kept on ticking. He just kept coming forward. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Margarito. Not 100%, just most likely in the relentless aspect of his game, just the pressure fighter from hell that won't stop, that takes these huge shots. And um, I don't know if it was the Pacquiao versus Margarito, but Margarito was taking some disgusting shots, like just bad shots that whiplashing and jerking his head back. And I think he was smiling and laughing. Maybe it was the Cotto rematch, but that's the kind of sinister level of nastiness that Margarito and I also feel Brandon Rios has. If you watch the first Brandon Rios Mike Alvarado fight, Robert Garcia was like, "Yo, we got to do this," and da da da. He's telling them in the corner what we got to do, and it didn't even look like Rios was listening. He was just like, "Me gusto," like saying, "I like this, like I love this." He's like, "I fucking know you love it. Now get out there." Um, so I thought that was pretty funny. Another thing with Brandon Rios saying me gusto and saying that he loves it, like because they were going to war just moments before, that shows you something about Brandon Rios. Dude got a chin. He's a warrior, and he really comes to fight. He just likes to scrap. Some people get tattoos because they don't mind the pain or they like the way it feels, and they become addicted to it. Brandon Rios just likes to fight. He really likes to fight. I really feel that. I mean, who the fuck takes some of them shots and just says, "Me gusto, I like this"? Like, who likes that? But again, he's a warrior. He has a heart, and it's probably provided a lot for him and his family. So why not do it? Something you love doing it. Something you're good at. Um, Hell, he's made his living, his whole career, and made money from it. So props to him. The only thing that I would say on the flip side of that coin is I think Brandon Rios is the prideful type of fighter. He's he's the worst type of fighter in terms of heart because he has too much heart. He's never gonna back down. You have to literally kill him or knock him out or get him to the point where he's like Amir Khan in the Danny Garcia fight for him to give up till his body physically can't give up. That's what I see in this dude. Like you really have to hurt him. Like he's not going to save himself. Another fighter recently that I noticed kind of had a similar aspect. Like you're really going to have to hurt this guy to stop. Is Gavin Reese. Gavin Reese was taking some monster shots from Adrian Broner. Absolutely disgusting, thunderous shots, and it's good his corner stopped it because he was. It was probably only going to get worse from that point on, and some fighters you can't be reasonable. You can't be sensible. You have to think for them. Gabriel Rosado, another prime example. Um, Gennady Golovkin was tearing him up. He received a cut early on, but he seems like one of them tough Philly fighters, and he's not gonna give up until you seriously hurt him, or again, until his body physically won't allow him to keep going. So it's good to see. It's definitely like jaw dropping and an entertainment for us. I just worry about these fighters' safety because Brandon Rios, again, he takes a lot of shots. Like he definitely gets his off outgoing, but he takes a lot on the incoming. And I just worry about fighter safety in the long run. There's a lot of things, brain damage, and um, if you look at certain fighters, it looks like some of their motor skills are really slow. I think it was who was it? Possibly Terry Norris. I mean I don't know if he has something wrong with him, but when I hear him talk, it's really like slow and slurred. And there's a lot of fighters that I feel due to boxing, um, it's messed up some of their motor skills. So God forbid anything like that happens to Brandon Rios, but I again I see him as being the type of fighter that you really have to punish. I'm gonna post a picture. This is a picture of Brandon Rios after the Mike Alvarado fight, and keep in mind it's a hellacious fight. It was a hell of a fight, but this is the winner of the fight after like his face starts swelling and the adrenaline goes out of your body when he's in his recovery. This is the next day after the fight. The winner shouldn't look this busted up. You know what I mean? Like if you look at other situations where there's a winner, and this is why I never understood why people criticize like people like Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward or Bernard Hopkins as much as they do. It might not be as interesting to you because they're not taking monstrous shots that are almost knocking them out. But I guarantee you, if Brandon Rios can come out of a fight looking like Timothy Bradley looked against Manny Pacquiao, or looking like Floyd Mayweather looked against most of his opponents, I'm pretty sure he would do that. But that's not his style. That's not his style of fight. He's not a fighter that relies on defense. I'm just saying, it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely entertaining to see a slugfest, to see an all-out war. But I feel like some of you guys, especially in America, I used to live in England. We have a fascination in America with just brutality and carnage. And I'm not trying to sound like no pastor because I'm guilty of it too. But that's what we like. We like to see that. We like to see people battered until their brains come out of their ear and shit. This is the type of shit. To brains pop out the top like Jack in the Box. It's old 50 Cent. Um, we like to see that type of stuff. And again, in boxing, I respect it. I like a slugfest too. It makes an entertaining hell of a fight. Makes you not even want to take a bathroom break. Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado, I'll piss my pants. I'm not missing that. I'd have to rush and piss during the break in between rounds. But again, I can also appreciate Bernard Hopkins or Floyd Mayweather or someone, Juan Manuel Marquez, who fights in a more technical fashion. Again, the goal is to hit and not get hit. So I never understood why people criticize fighters like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather or Bernard Hopkins or whatever, they can continue fighting to a longer age because they're technically sound and they do have a level of defense. In my opinion, Brandon Rios, he's young, but if he keeps taking beatings like this and doesn't work on his defense, like I said, you're taking beatings and you're the victor. You're the one that's winning the fight and you still look like this picture. So that's not. It shows you have heart, but it's not noble. Like I just feel like some people have a crazy mentality and a crazy way of thinking, but I guess it is what it is. It's just like if you don't, I don't know if that's not your thought process, maybe you won't understand it. So maybe it's not for me to understand. Like I said, I don't take anything away from Brandon Rios. He's a hell of a fighter. I enjoy him. I like Robert Garcia a lot. I like what he does with his fighters, and Brandon Rios definitely has heart. But as far as Mike Alvarado, I really see it being similar to the first one, if not maybe even worse, just because Brandon Rios will be a little bit more acclimated to the weight. And if you noticed it in the exchanges, it looked like the more detrimental shots were being landed by. I mean, it's tough to say that, but it looked like the big shots that Brandon Rios was landing had more of an effect on Mike Alvarado than Mike Alvarado's shots. Don't get me wrong, Mike Alvarado was landing some nasty shots that was rocking Rios's head back, and they look horrible. But again, Brandon Rios has a chin, so he kept coming forward. There weren't many points where I remember Brandon Rios in retreat mode or constantly backing up. So I just think the more devastating punches when they were landed were from Brandon Rios. I just have a hard time seeing Mike Alvarado not get into the old habit that got him TKO'd in the first fight. I think Brandon Rios is excellent about cutting off the ring and kind of forcing you to fight his type of fight and getting you to engage. And then you add pride and machismo and ego into that, and then it's even worse. So I feel like Mike Alvarado is the type of person you punch him and he wants to bang with you, even though it might not be sensible. So maybe his corner can talk some sense into him and say, yeah, keep him at bay, keep him at a distance. But again, Brandon Rios' relentlessness, he finds a way to get you to engage in his type of fight. And again, I think he'll be more acclimated to the weight of 140 pounds, just it being his second fight in the division. And he's trying to get on pay per view. He's trying to get bigger fights lined up, possibly a Marquez showdown or a fight with Pacquiao. And I think he's really gunning for that and trying to get to the next level of his career. He was able to ask for more money in this fight. Didn't really want to take the Alvarado rematch, and I don't blame him. I mean, he TKO'd the guy. It was a fight of the year, but it's not necessarily a fight that we must see again. I mean, I'm definitely going to watch it because the first one was entertaining, and it really is 50-50. I just see Brandon Rios doing pretty much the same thing, probably stopping him rounds 5 through 8. Um, just because I think his relentless pressure is going to be too much, and I think he might catch Alvarado with something. That's just really my thought on it. Again, I said this in previous video. I think Top Rank, they need to get with the program because nobody wants to see the same fights over and over and over again. So if Brandon Rios wins, who's he gonna fight next? Even if Adrian Broner comes back down and fights, I mean, is Top Rank willing to work with Golden Boy to make that fight? I would love to see Brandon Rios versus Adrian Broner. Um, I think Broner's gonna tag him. He's far more accurate than someone like Mike Alvarado, and I think Broner would just pummel Brandon Rios. And it could the thing that gives Brandon Rios a competitive edge in that fight is that he has power and he has a chin. He's gonna keep coming. So the biggest determining factor in the winner of that fight, Broner versus Rios, to me, is if even with battering Brandon Rios, which is what I think Broner would do for several rounds, if he doesn't get him out of there, is he going to have the stamina to keep going and to keep this guy, ward him off of him for 12 rounds? That would be my question because we know Brandon Rios has a chin and he doesn't like to give up. So that would be my question. Let me know what you guys think. Who wins, Mike Alvarado versus Brandon Rios? I see it fairly being like the same fight, very close and competitive, but overall I see Brandon Rios coming out victorious, pushing the action, and winning by stoppage. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, comment,